the situation they're in on offense is exactly why this is a multi-year rebuild, is because their holes are at the most important, most expensive positions. You can't fix them all at once. It's hard to go out and get a receiver. It's hard to go out and get a left tackle. It's hard to go out and get a quarterback. And generally, you can't fix three positions like that in one offseason, you know? So that's not to say they don't have good players. They do. Mike Nwanu is a good player. David Andrews is a good player. Yeah. Hunter Henry's a good player. Yeah. I think Osborne and Bourne are pieces, you know? But, like, what they have is a bunch of complementary pieces. They don't have cornerstones. And with the third overall pick, you'd hope you either get one big cornerstone, which is the quarterback, or you generate enough capital to fill multiple holes.
See, that's why I think he was telling the truth. He just didn't tell the whole truth.
Yeah.
So, hey, we have NFL players. We have good players. Yeah, they do. The Patriots do have good players. Yeah. They don't have They don't have a single great player on offense. Yeah. Nobody on offense. I'm including offensive linemen. I like a winner. Good. All these tight end. Obviously, they don't have a quarterback. They don't have any great players, and you could say they probably don't have any great players on defense. So, but I do see where he's going because, Bert, I disagree. I don't think it's hard to get a receiver. It's getting easier and easier to get a receiver.
It is getting easier
if you know if you know how to draft. And the Patriots didn't, for years couldn't draft a receiver, but now
I should amend that.
You'd have to get
a number one.
Yeah,
but that's tough.
What about the idea?
You have to be an idiot not to get a receiver now. Though,
but there's a lot of
it's tons of them,
and we can have a longer discussion. I think we have had this discussion here about how it's just the way the sport's going and 7-on-7 and the best athletes playing there. Yeah, it's easier than it's ever been to find a receiver.
Yeah, he should be able to get one from his background with the Packers, and they never, for Aaron Rodgers, never drafted a receiver in the first round, but they always came up with good wide receivers.
What about the idea of trading for somebody who's out there already?
And I think you're going to A.J. Brown now.
Could be A.J. Brown. Could be one of the guys from San Francisco. Could be, like there are a number of guys who may be gettable in the next week.
I think that turns into like a draft weekend type of thing where when you come out of the first round and then you're resetting and you're looking at what's left at the position, and like San Francisco with Ayuk and Cincinnati with Higgins, like they have a better idea of what's out there for them. And this is where, like, the Patriots are in this sort of spot, because what happens is, and again, like Michael, you know this because you've been in these rooms and written books on it and everything else. Between the different days of the draft, everybody resets, and where the opportunity could be for you to go and get one is after the first round, teams going in and resetting their board and looking at it and saying, "Oh my God, I can't believe this guy is still there." The power of having a high pick in the second round. If you're San Francisco and you're saying, like, I'll just throw a name out there. Let's say like A.D. Mitchell. You didn't expect him to fall out from Texas. You didn't expect him to fall out of the first round. And there he is. And you're like, man, like, I'd really like to get him. And then you call the Patriots. I think the Patriots have the second pick on day 2. Is that right?
I believe so, yeah.
I think that's right.
34.
Right? Yeah, 34. So they have the second pick on day 2. Like, that's a powerful piece to have. So you could call San Francisco on Ayuk, and you could call Cincinnati on Higgins, and maybe a guy that they really like has fallen out of the first round, and now all of a sudden the equation is different for them because they're looking at it and saying, okay, well, this guy might be off we love Ayuk, we love Higgins, but we can't budget to keep him based on what else we have on our roster at those positions, where the Niners are paying Deebo Samuel and the Bengals are going to have to pay Jamar Chase, and well, we either get 1 year of this guy and we're not going to be able to afford to keep him, or we get 4 years of cost control with this guy who we really like, who we didn't expect to be there. Let's just do it. So that sort of opportunity can certainly present itself during the draft.
All right. You can join us, by the way, at 617-779-0985. You can ask Bert a question about the draft, which is coming up here. The trades that could be made for the Patriots. Wolf talked about this yesterday. Now, he left it wide open. He said, we're open for business. First round, second round, third round. The amount of discussions that would have to take place in order for them to trade out of that third overall pick, though, I think is, number one, the most compelling, and the one that obviously is going to yield you the most in terms of a return. So I guess I got to ask you more directly, because when we talked about it earlier when you first got here, he said, well, you said Drake May is going with the 3rd overall pick. You think regardless of who's there. So what are the odds that the Patriots are that team? Or do you think they're really open for business with that 3rd overall pick?
No, I mean, like, I think they are listening. Now, I would say this, like, I made the point the other night that, there's some disagreement in the building, and there are people who, really like J.J. McCarthy. There are others who think he's just a guy and think, we need to swing for the fences and the upside with Drake May. And I think all of that's healthy. I think it's informative it can inform you to know where Elliot Wolf's coming from, which is when you talk to those guys, the Reggie McKenzies, the Scott McLuhans, the John Schneiders, the guys who've been through that Ron Wolf school, right? Like the Ted Thompson, Ron Wolf school, what they'll all tell you is we all got good at our jobs because we got to see everything. So that's just that program. Everyone in the room is getting to see everything. It wasn't like that here for a long, long time.
It wasn't.
It was not like that. It was very siloed off.
You see nothing.
Yeah, it was very siloed off. So you get to see everything, but, in the end, Ron Wolf or Ted Thompson or whoever was in charge wasn't telling everyone what they personally were thinking because they didn't want to contaminate the opinions of other people in the room. And that's why I sort of laughed when I heard this stuff about Elliot Wolf pushing for something. He's got the trigger. Why does he have to push for it, right? Or Elliot Wolf being in love with somebody. Because if I know anything about that program, it'd be that Elliot is listening to all of his scouts, using all of his resources, and probably keeping his own intentions to himself. At least if he's doing it the way his dad did it, if he's doing it the way Ted Thompson did it, he's letting everybody see everything. He's involving a lot of people in the process, and he would probably view his job as synthesizing all of that and being able to make the most informed decision on his own.